Hello, good evening, and welcome back to the Invictus Racing League, the IRL F1 League here on the PS4 with myself, Gareth Hall, and joined as always on a Monday by Alan Sabatino. How are you doing, Sab?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. We are back, aren't we, after a week's break? We are here in Canada tonight after what was a whirlwind ride around Monaco last week. Last week, a couple of weeks ago with Gamer taking the win. But what a stint that was for Harry on those tyres. What was it? It seemed like an eternity, but he managed to get to the line somehow, and he has taken us into the second half of the season now with a good gap over Gamer. The key is, though, Gareth, can he maintain that? Can he really take it to Gamer in the second half of the season?
Yeah, it's going to be a massive test for Harry, and 12 points he owns over the reigning champion CRG Gamer, 62. And Gamer, I'm sure, will be looking to reel him in a race that he won last season here in the F1 League as well. So has pedigree for standing on the top spot of that podium here in F1. Harry, however, I said he's become almost a fluid-like substance over this week after sweating Canada so much. He wants to get one over Game at the end of this season, but to do so he's going to need to maintain that gap that he's held over him in the first stage of this one. Course Gamer missing the Dutch Grand Prix back at round 3, which is why that points gap was allowed to stretch out to 12 points. Harry's taken 3 wins, Gamer's taken 2, and both of them have been off the podium in 2 of the other races as well. So it's going to go right down to the wire. It seems as though it's going to be those two battling out for the championship. However, Foxy Red 2000 is currently in 3rd position. He took the 3rd place off of Cliffy after Cliffy has unfortunately not finished the last 2 races after his race win back in China. So Cliffy, Sab, another one of those drivers that are looking improving on a bit of a downturn in form over the last few weeks.
Most definitely, we know what Cliffy is capable of. We know he can win races, he can get podiums, he can do the lot. Unfortunately, it's just not gone his way, has it, in recent weeks? So let's hope for his sake it's a reset and he can go ahead and try and recover this season. I don't think he's going to probably get in within a title fight now, unfortunately for him, as we were both tipping him, weren't we, at the beginning of the season to be right in there. But I think if he can just gain some more confidence and really put himself back up there where we know he can operate and challenge these fast guys like Gamer, like Harry, like Scopefield, Sam, Foxy and all them, and getting right in there, then I'm sure we'll see the very best of Cliffy. But as you can see, it's qualifying and it's clear blue skies. These guys will be breathing a huge sigh of relief. They had a week off. That's the last thing they wanted. There will be some rain, as we can see a few cars heading out, and I can see a Ferrari heading out, and also the first car of the evening heading out is the Renault, a new driver with us this evening, Paul Racetech here. Be interested to see how he gets along in his first race here in IRL.
Yep, and we welcome Paul to the IRL F1 League. Always good to see new faces joining the league. And Sab, just to go back on to something you just mentioned of having a lovely clear blue sky here above Montreal, it's going to be a wet race.
Oh.
We've just heard from the guys in the lobby. They've said wet race. So yeah, everyone will be out there, I'm sure, on the hard or the softest compound tyre, looking to get as far up the grid as possible and get themselves a decent whole shot down towards turn 1 on that one here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us, guys, and hopefully you've had a lovely weeks off, if from competing, from watching, of course, being part of the community, whether of course you are a driver or you are of course a viewer. And this is the IRL F1 League here on the PS4 every Monday night from 8 PM with myself, Gareth, and Sab in the commentary box. Of course, if you're joining us for the first time, make sure you press that subscribe button, or if you are watching and you're enjoying the video, press that like button. It really does help us out, and equally share it to people on your social media channels, and let's show everyone what the IRL F1 boys and girls can do. But currently, Paul, as you say, Paul Racetech in his debut race here in the Renault, joining forces with Sam Pepito, will be out there on circuit setting the first flying lap, and we'll see what he can do. Now, of course, they were here just last season at round 9, where Gamer took pole position. Cliffy only 0.16 of a second off of Gamer in that qualifying session. Harry only 7th, as Paul unfortunately invalidates that one at the kink at turn 6 and turn 8 and turn 9. Sorry, but yeah, Cliffy definitely one to watch out for. He's been having an on-off season when it comes to qualifying. He's either qualified on the front 2 rows or he's qualified at the back of the grid, Sab.
Yeah, there's no in between, is there, with him? I'm just keeping an eye on Andre, our lone McLaren driver this evening. He's going to get a nice toe off the Ferrari ahead of him of Rimac. There you go, Andre pulling right up close behind that Ferrari, down that back straight now, heading towards the famous Wall of Champions. Don't want to get this wrong here. He's so far no invalidation there. Nice and close to that wall, no invalidation whatsoever. This is going to be first set time of the evening, and it is a 108.308 to beat.
That's a nice time there from Andre, because last season I believe it was the pole position time was in the 107s. It was a 107.6. So definitely not too bad from Andre. Sambam Kid on the medium tyres does a 108.834. So the times will start to come down now, and we'll see what the likes of San Pepito can do. Does he manage to keep it away from the wall? Does. Kicks up a little bit of dirt on the outside line. Up into third wall, 109.144 goes the Spaniard from Tenerife. TL44S, a 109.8 in the racing point, and behind him we've got across the line comes Scopefielder, who goes and does a 108.220. Currently provisional pole. We've got the 2 Williams out circuit at the moment. Harry coming down the back straight. Now, I said he's been putting a lot of practice in and sweating the circuit. Can he keep it out of the wall? Just about, as DRS flicks open on that Williams. He gets down, and does he go top? He does. It's a 107 straight into the 67 mark there for your current championship leader. He goes purple 0.3 of a second faster than Scopefielder.
I'm just keeping an eye on his teammate, Scott Bugner. It's been a tough season, hasn't it, for Scott? But Scott will be able to rectify that and really get his head down and work on this season and try and get some points in for this Williams team. He's just gone through the final corner now. His teammate will be coming across the line now, jumps up to 5th with a 108.464. But just as you can see there, Cliffy, we've been talking about him a lot so far this evening, up into pole position at the moment with a 107.907 in the racing point.
Yep, and that is just over what he did last season. Last season for Cliffy it was a 107.850, so there's time to be found for that racing point. Of course, teammates with TL44S, as Foxy Red unfortunately invalidating that one, so not able to set a time. He's down in 11th position. Was throwing out some excuses earlier that he's not done any practice over the week, has enjoyed his week off, which is what I'd imagine a lot of these drivers and racers have done themselves. I'm sure they've enjoyed a slight break off away from the game and just gone off and had a couple of things to do elsewhere. But on circuit now, we have got the Mercedes and current IRL champion CRG Gamer 62, and the Comrade Gaming driver will definitely be looking at improving on that 109.907 that's currently held by Cliffy 7765. So Cliffy's time around about 0.08 of a second faster than Harry's, but Harry looking to improve on that 7th place qualifying result that he picked up last season. But you can see as Gamer comes up the back straight, is he going to get a tow from one of the cars up ahead? It looks as though that might be the racing point, might just be out of range for a tow, maybe just a lingering bit there as he comes into the final chicane to end this lap up to the line. What's Gamer going to do as he comes across? Will it be a time set? No, it's onto a flying lap there, so it looks as though my timing wasn't working properly on that one, because it said it was on a flying lap to start with, then he was on an out lap. So we'll stick with the champion and we'll follow him for this lap here as he comes into the first chicane, taking it very nicely, taking a lot of speed there through turn 3 and turn 4 into the slower turn 6 and turn 7, scrubbing off a little bit of speed before the first DRS detection zone on these circuits. He goes down towards turn 8 and turn 9. Very easy to invalidate here as you cut over and try and use as much curb as possible. He doesn't use too much of the exit curb there, straightens up the car as he sends it down to Le Pingle, the expansive hairpin down at turn 10. Locks up the front right, that will cost him a couple of, about half a tenth or so, but I'm sure he can get back on the pace. Fires it down that casino straight through the kink at turn 11 and in towards turn 12 and turn 13. Here in Montreal, cuts in. Does he take a lot of entry curve? He does, which allows him to straighten up the curve and miss that, of course, devilish wall on the right hand side. Up to the line, Gamer with a 7.7 there. So good lap time from the Mercedes, 0.2 of a second faster than anyone else.
It's a solid lap time, isn't it? I was just keeping an eye on Sambam Kid. He was on another flying lap, but unfortunately for Sambam Kid, he is invalidated, so he will not be improving on his 108.834 at the moment. Currently sitting in 7th place. Foxy Red as well has put a time on the board so far with a 108.874, slots him into 8th, just ahead of Paul Racetech, who's just at his first time of the evening, just ahead of his teammates, 9th and 10th at the moment for the Renault guys.
Yep, good lap time there, and we've got Logshotter currently coming down to the hairpin, locks up almost all 4 tyres there going into the hairpin, goes wide on exit. That's not going to help him at all. Kicks up some dust on the exit of the hairpin at that slight kink before he gets towards turn 11. Down the back straight goes Logshotter, who will be hoping for a better race after getting involved in a couple of unnecessary incidents in Monaco 2 weeks ago. He'll be looking at improving and having a much more fruitful evening. Where can he move? It's into 11th position, a 109.181, 7 thousandths of a second faster than the Dutchman Burmeister, who's taken his Red Bull into 12th position.
Scopefield down the back straight now is going much quicker than his previous lap, and he's got a superb toe off his teammate Foxy Red there. Just needs to get this final bit right. He does. Nice and tidy there from Schofield. Expect Schofield to improve here. What can he do? And it's up into 3rd place, a 107.975, just ahead of Harry in 4th. That's a nice lap there from Schofield. It was really tidy and not too far off Cliffy in 2nd place. So a good lap there from the Alfa Romeo driver.
It takes 0.6 of a second off his best time from last season, does the Alfa Romeo driver. Schofield, of course, the most winningest driver of all time in IRL. He's taken a multiple of race wins. I believe it's over 30 now if you include the PS4 and the PC leagues. And down the back straight there you can see Harry getting a little bit of a toe off of the slowing Alfa Romeo of Scopefielder as he comes in towards turn 6 and turn 7. Harry was slower in the first sector. He goes wide on exit at turn 9, just gets onto the dirt a little bit, so it's a little bit of a ragged lap. He's only going 0.04 of a second faster, and that would get him up into range of Scopefielder, still holding him off behind Cliffy, but he's going to get a nice toe here behind teammate Scott Bugner. Down the back straight, Scott will be opening up that throttle until the last moment where he pulls to the inside, opens up the door for Harry to go down into the final chicane. Does he hold on to the lap? Does he keep it out of the wall? He does very nicely. What does Harry's lap time get it onto the front row of the grid? Does it? It does. It's a 107.757, 0.2 of a second, still slower than Gamer, leading this one away.
That's the key. We spoke about it, didn't we, the first half of the season. If Harry cannot beat Gamer, he needs to be right behind Gamer to stand himself a chance, and that is superb for him. He knows right now that he's in an eye shot of taking it to Gamer at the beginning of this race, and with it being wet, who knows what can happen in this race. So Harry puts himself in a good position because Gamer, with that 107.567 at the minute, looks like it's going to be very tricky to beat. I was just keeping an eye on Cliffy as well while he was going through that. Cliffy invalidated during his next one as well. It just shows you what this track's like, doesn't it, Gareth, around here? It's very easy to invalidate around here, and you can find yourself burning through a set of tyres quite quickly.
Absolutely, and they'll all be out there on the softs knowing that the rain is coming as they're on board with Scott, who's having the favour returned to him by teammate Harry down the back straight. Harry giving him that nice toe as they go down towards the final corner. Harry's going to dive into the pit lane. Scott's going to continue with the lap. Does he keep it out of the wall? Very nicely indeed, just almost kissing that outside wall, but he's going to come up to the line. Scott not improving. He does improve his time, but not position. 300 of a second slower than Andre, who just moved up into 5th position. So it's a good session so far for the McLaren driver.
It really is. Just about to point out that Andre was going quicker, and he's just shown it there into 5th place. That's a solid session for him so far in P5 in qualifying round here. Who knows what can happen come the race? It might be potential opportunities for a podium here. So as we see now, with just over 5 minutes left on the clock, can anybody beat Gamer's time, or can the only person beat Gamer is himself? What do you think, Gareth?
It's looking hard to beat 0.2 of a second, but Harry's in the position he needs to be if he wants to get within shot of running down towards turn 1 and getting along the inside of the Mercedes. But it looks as though our two championship rivals are going to be in that battle between themselves. Watch out for Cliffy though. We know that he's got some speed under that racing point. The machine as TL44F moves up into 9th position. Foxy Red is on another lap as he locks both front tyres going down into the hairpin, and up in front of him he's going to have Scopefielder giving him a tow down the back straight. So it looks as though teammates working very nicely with each other this evening, whether it be the Williams, whether it be the Alfa Romeos, and of course we saw earlier from some of the others as well. But into the final corners, Foxy invalidates again, and that's not going to help with under 5 minutes to go left in this one. And as you say, Sab, these guys are powering through some tyres. However, with a wet race they can use as many of them as possible.
They can indeed, and Foxy Red's time would have been good enough, I think, for P8. So Foxy Red would have improved there, but unfortunately that final corner, it always catches a lot of people out. You can be very greedy through there, can't you? Because you're always conscious of not hitting that wall, and unfortunately for Foxy, just took too much of it, and the red invalidation on the track map come up straight away. So it was a nice tow from Scopefield, but unfortunately didn't come to anything. As we see now, CRG Gamer was on a lap, but he's invalidated, so I don't know if he'll be going again on these set of tyres. He's invalidated on this time, so I'm wondering if he might be pushing for a second hot lap here.
Yeah, and of course if you do have the battery and you do have the tyres underneath, you can go for a second push lap knowing that the race will be a wet start. You won't have to worry about being on some scrubbed tyres as Sambam comes across the line, doesn't improve on 6th position currently. Andre's ahead of him, Andre in 5th position, which would be his best qualifying result of the season. Currently it's 7th position that he picked up in the first race back at France, so that's a decent return for him. Who else have we got out on circuit? Well, we've got Logshotter who's out doing a lap at the moment. He's currently circulating a little bit slower it seems, so we'll see if we can find anyone else that's on a push lap. We've got Burmeister who's invalidated, so it looks as though everyone is going unfortunately going off into the positions on circuit that you're not meant to be in, Sab.
Yeah, we're a bit of a lull, aren't we, at the moment now? Just over 3 minutes left on the clock. We've seen the likes of Harry, Cliffy and Scopefield are now coming out for an outlap, and I imagine within the next minute or so you're going to see everybody else coming out, and hopefully nobody tripping up over each other. CRG Gamer gave up on that lap. He's now back into the pits as well, wondering if he'll be able to come in, bolt on a third set of softs, I should say, and get back out there. But Cliffy now just about to start his last flying lap. Can he get it done? Can he get himself on that front row with Gamer?
Yep, we'll go on board with the Racing Point driver, of course, winner back in China. 3rd place at Zandvoort as well. Not finished the last 2 races. Currently sits 4th in the championship, just going under 0.013 of a second faster. Gets it all wrong on exit of turn 5 and turn 6 and turn 7 there. Kicks the back end out, and he's backed out of this lap. Is he going to try and preserve battery and go for a second push lap? He's got 2 minutes left to do so, so he's got some time. However, I'm sure the likes of Scopefielder, who's improving on his time, Scopefielder, who's going almost 2.5 of a second faster, who's going to be looking at improving. Harry's in 2nd position as well. What can Harry do? Scopefielder invalidates that one.
Yeah, unfortunately Scopefield just took too much of the curb there, and it was an invalidation straight away. But hopefully for his sake he can look after his tyres, get the battery back to where he needs it to be. He's got plenty of time on the clock, so he'll be hoping to go again. But CRG Gamer doesn't look like he's coming out. He looks like he's pretty happy with his 107.567. It's now up to Harry, Cliffy and Scopefielder, or any other challengers to try and take it to Gamer. So Harry's one and only chance now starts now with 1 minute 20 on the clock.
As Harry's going to come around the first corner, and he might meet a Mercedes right in the wrong position on exit here. Will the Mercedes notice as he's just up the road? Looks as though there's going to be a big enough gap for the Mercedes to find a way out of the way, and I believe that's Gamer's. Harry invalidates there at turn 4. So that is Harry's session done, unless he wants to power around to the line, but looks as though he's backed out of it. So Harry will not be improving that 107.757, and unfortunately this time around we'll see what others can do. Cliffy is going faster. We'll see if the Racing Point can displace the Williams on the front row of the grid and even get towards the fastest lap of 107.567. Into the final corner comes Cliffy, invalidates that one as well. It looks as though he was going fast. What does he do as he comes up to the line? What would it have been? It would have been a 107.619. It wouldn't have been fast enough for pole, but it would have got Cliffy onto the front row. We've got Scopefielder going slowly. He's not improving. Andre's on the lap, currently in 5th position. We've got a couple of other drivers coming to the line shortly, so we'll see if we can find out who's on a decent lap. Scott's going to try and get to line before, and he will be able to start a flyer, so Scott will be looking at getting some decent positions made up there. He's got a little bit of a gap between himself and Andre. He's got 3/10 to make up, but Sambam is only 0.03 of a second up the road, so potentially Scott may be able to find himself a couple of positions. Sambam Kid will be looking at improving on 6th position. What can he do as he comes into the final chicane? He invalidates as well, and in fact hits the outside wall of champions there for good measure. Sam Pepito's coming down the back straight as well, so the Renault driver is currently just ahead of teammate Paul Racetech in 8th and 9th position. What can Sam do? He hasn't got a teammate to give him a tow down the back straight. Will he be able to improve on his current 108.5 that he set earlier on? Comes up to the line. Can Sam improve? He can't. It's only 8th position. Paul Racetech, his teammate, not improving. So at the moment, it's CRG Gamer who's out there improving by 0.06 of a second on his time, but he's going to be the only one out having a lap. No one else is going to improving. Can Gamer go purple again? He doesn't even need to cross the line, but he's going to go faster. It's a 107.418, putting the exclamation mark on that pole position. Is your reigning champion, CRG Gamer 62.
He was very sneaky there, Gamer, because I checked in on him right up to like a minute or so, and he'd still not come out, so he must have left that at the very last moment. And what a lap it was in the end, really rubber stamping that pole position. Absolutely superb from him. It was a shame, really, wasn't it, Gareth, that we didn't get to see the likes of Harry, Cliffy and Scopefield improve on their final runs due to these invalidations. It'd be interesting to see if they could have got any closer, but let's not take anything away from Gamer. It was a superb qualifying, but coming up with the wet race, it's going to be a completely different ball game now, isn't it? It's all about pretty much surviving, especially that first lap.
Yep. And we know that the first lap here, especially if it's heavy rain, is almost completely unsighted. You get spray and the visibility becomes almost zero. But pole position and the clearest run to down turn 1 will be your current reigning champion. Second in the championship this season, CRG Gamer 62 of a 107.418, 0.3 faster than championship leader Harry BR 25 in the Williams. Cliffy in third with Scopefielder having a great qualifying session once again in 4th place. Andre, best qualifying results so far for the Ukrainian in 5th place with Sambam Kid in 6th, Scott Bugner back in 7th with Sam Pepito in 8th, Paul Racetech on his debut in 9th with Foxy Red 2000 in 10th. Then you've got Rymac outside of the top 10 in 11th, Logshotter in 12th, TL44S in 13th, and Burmeister rounding out the grid in 14th position with a couple of drivers not able to make the race weekend. Of course, we've still got a couple of slots left in PS4 F1 for this season, so if you'd like to come and join us, make sure you head over to our social media channels and get in touch, or of course go to the website invictusracingleague.com, or of course the socials are Invictus RL on Twitter and Invictus Racing League on Instagram and on Facebook. And of course, if you're joining us here on a Monday night and you're enjoying it, make sure you press the like button. Really, really does help us out. And if I could target, I always say, if I could be cheeky and target 15 likes, that really does help out. 20 would be massive. But yeah, your help is always very much appreciated. And I'm sure help that would be appreciated would be anyone that can give some of these drivers a little bit of a hint and about where to brake, where to put the racing line, or where to have their braking points here on this circuit. It's going to be very greasy, very wet, Sam.
It really is. I do not envy these guys whatsoever now going into this race, knowing that they've just been going absolutely flat out dry, nice conditions, completely different conditions now. I do not envy him whatsoever, but be interested to see. I don't know, unless I go into race director quickly. It's intermediate tyre conditions. It looks, you might think it looks a bit too wet for intermediate tyres, but intermediate tyres it is, so it's not the full wet conditions, so hopefully visibility won't be too bad for these guys going down into the first few corners. But like you say, getting all your braking points right is key, into, especially going into this first few corners. You don't want to outbrake yourself down here. You could find yourself wiping somebody else out, ruining their race, or even braking too early could catch people out from behind as well. So you've got to get it absolutely bang on. And I'm sure Gamer will be having one eye, especially on Harry, because I'm sure Harry will be trying his utmost best to try and get past Gamer early on. He doesn't want to allow Gamer to run off with it, does he? Because we've seen so often, haven't we, here on a Monday night, what Gamer can do when he's in that position to lead a race. Normally, when he's leading a race, you don't often get to see him, do you, again, for the remainder of the race. So Harry will be keen to try and make the jump on him early, but he doesn't want to be too eager, does he? Because if he takes the front wing off or tags anybody or gets turned round, suddenly that 12-point gap what he's got over Gamer can quite quickly go away, and it could suddenly be, say, a 6-point gap, and that'll be a disastrous start for the second half of the season. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see what these guys do going into the first corners. We're just waiting for them to ready up.
Yeah, we are indeed, and it's an 8th pole position in IRL F1 for CRG Gamer 62 after his return to a Monday night here in Invictus Racing League. It's our second visit in 2 seasons to Canada. Last time was not too long ago. It was back at round 9 of season 10, so the guys will be pretty acclimatised to this Montreal circuit, and it's going to be very much the battle between your two championship leaders of CRG Gamer 62 and Harry BR 25. The only two drivers last season to not pick up a penalty in the race, and it helped Harry move up from 7th on the grid into 4th. And last time around, the podium retained their quali positions, which I think is the first time that happened in F1 for quite a while. So we will see if that happens, and we have the likes of CRG Gamer, Harry and Cliffy coming to the podium coming to the interview for the podium questions after the race. So stick around for that. I'm sure we'll find out from the guys how their races have gone. But out on the outlap for the first time will be CRG Gamer 62 from Harry, Cliffy, Scopefielder in 4th. Then row 3, you've got Andre and Sam Balkid, with row 4 being Scott Bugner and Sam Pepito, with row 5 Paul Racetech and Foxy Red 2000. Outside of the top 10, you've got Rymac, Logshotter, at TL44S and Burmeister. So an unusually poor qualifying for TL44S, Sam.
It is. I was a little disappointed to see him so far down. You did say he didn't do much practice around here, and it probably shows, doesn't it, there with second last on the grid. But there's still everything to play for, isn't there? Even right down in 13th and 14th place, who knows where you can finish in conditions like this. I wouldn't be surprised to see a safety car or even a virtual safety car. My feeling, I've got a gut feeling here with someone tonight, but I don't want to say, I don't know whether I should say or not in case I jinx him, because you know what I'm like for commentators' curse, but I've got a good feeling about Scopefielder this evening. I think he's looked good in qualifying, and sitting in 4th place there, he might have a really good race here if he can not get in any tangles early on. So my tip will be for Scopefield to have a good race, but you watch, commentators' curse, he'll probably be out by the first lap.
No, well, he is one of the only 2 drivers this season, along with Harry, to finish every lap of the season so far of the opening 6 rounds. So Scopefielder definitely is one of those consistent drivers. Tends to just, as you say, take it easy and pick some good results. It's been a much better season from the Super Swede this time around. He's currently in 4th position on circuit as they get ready and coming up to the final corner, getting ready to slot into their allotted grid slots here at this very short run down to turn 1, only 260 metres. Top speed around here will be lowered, of course, in this wet conditions, but it is always upwards of 210 miles an hour. Full throttle should be 67% of the lap, however it will be less due to the wet. It's 56 gear changes over the lap, and of course it's 13 turns over a 4.36 kilometre circuit, 2.72 miles. Who can make the most of it? Will it be Gamer? Will it be Harry? Watch out for Cliffy and Scopefielder behind. Andre, highest qualifying position for him. We get ready to go green here for the IRL F1 League on a Monday night on the PS4. Who can get the whole shot down towards turn 1 for the first time as they get ready to take the 5 lights and send them down to the first corner. We've got 5 red lights. Let's get going here in Montreal for the 7th round of the IRL F1 League. It's a brilliant start from pole sitter CRG Gamer behind. Harry's being swamped into turn 1 by the Racing Point and the Alfa Romeo. Is it clean behind it? Looks as though everyone filtering his position. No, that's Andre that's been turned around. I saw a McLaren spearing off into the infield, so Andre from 5th position already pointing in the wrong direction. Scott Buckner has equally got himself dropping a few positions now. He's in 11th position. Cliffy's got a really good start already onto the back of CRG Gamer.
Oh, and that was a superb start from Cliffy. I was right on board with him. Harry just bogs down and just didn't get away, and now CRG Gamer is under pressure from Cliffy here. Cliffy really pushing Gamer here. I'm just right on board with Cliffy, and the visibility is not great, so that's one advantage Gamer will have in his early few laps, but Gamer's looking like the car is on ice a minute, and Cliffy's pretty much pushing this Mercedes along here. Can Cliffy get a move done early on? I thought he was going to send one down the inside there, but Gamer runs it a little deep. Can Cliffy now send one up the inside? You think Cliffy's got a great opportunity here, but Gamer just about holds on to that first place. But massive pressure here for Gamer at the moment from Cliffy. Didn't expect that, to be honest. Harry already dropping away from this battle, already in 3rd place, with Schofield holding on to 4th.
Yep, you see Cliffy just compromising his line through entry there, or the hairpin, but we've got some blue flags, but don't worry about them. But it's going to be Cliffy as TL4S picks up a 3-second time penalty on the first lap. Not great down in 12th position is TL4S, and Tom won't be happy with that at all. Sab.
Yeah, there's been a big crash, well not crash, but a big incident between Foxy and Sam. Sam was pretty much sideways going across the start-finish line there. I don't know what happened. I just seen the Renault not facing the way it should be, but they've both somehow held on to it. I don't know if any of them have got damaged. I think Sam was trying to move up the outside of Foxy, and Foxy pretty much said no thank you. That's what my guess is, and they collided, but luckily both have stayed on track. But Logshotter just behind is having a great battle with Scott Bugner for 9th place at the minute. Scott Bugner alongside the Mercedes, and Logshotter trying his hardest to try and hold on to that 9th place, but Scott Bugner, he's ever so great on those brakes, isn't he, even in these conditions. Just about gets into 9th, but Logshotter's not giving this up just yet. But imagine down into the hairpin now. Surely Scott Bugner will have it. Oh, this is brave from Logshotter. Logshotter up the inside is pretty much using Scott as a bit of a buffer to try and get around, but Scott in the end just about gets the move done, and that benefited TL4S because TL4S was lurking behind these two. Steals the position off Logshotter. Logshotter in space for a few corners. Logshotter's broke the... Oh, God. Logshotter trying some brave moves here, and there you go, 3-second time penalty for Logshotter. But Logshotter just about is holding on to 10th once again. This is superb for the minor points playing positions here, and TL4S just about takes that position from him. But yeah, we've got about 4 or 5 position changes down here in the low half of the grid so far.
Yeah, I'm sure Logshotter will not be a fan favourite if you're the likes of Paul Racestack and Scott Bugner. The last lap around at turn 6, you could see Scott had gone for the inside line on Paul Racestack. He was getting pushed into turn 6 by the Mercedes, who then picked up the pieces with the Renault taking to the grass, losing all grip, and Logshotter losing the car on exit at turn 7. They're kicking the rear end out. That's going to open the door for Andre, who of course spun at turn 1, fell all the way from 5th back to 12th position. He's trying to recover, but he's now involved in this battle all the way down as Rymax dropping down the order behind TL4S. So this, as you say, the fight for the minor positions is very much on. Scott Bugner's managed to get to the head of it, and he's going to try and break away, but behind you've got Scott, TL4S, Rymax, Logshotter, Andre, Paul and Burmeister all within 2.5 tenths of each other. So this one is going to go right down to it, but up ahead you can see Gamer has now started to stretch a bit of a gap over Cliffy. So after a shaky start, the second place man in the championship has built that lead up to 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, that's a good thing, isn't it, for Gamer? I thought Cliffy would have got the jump on him, you know, but Cliffy, I don't know, maybe has he dropped back as well a bit just to get some better visibility? He doesn't want to be tucked up behind that Mercedes, or is Gamer managing to pull away? But it is keeps dipping down to about a second, 1.2 seconds. But the key, I'd say, out of all this a minute is it looks like Harry is not enjoying these conditions whatsoever. He's 2.6 seconds behind Cliffy already. So Harry being dropped quite quickly already on lap 4, with Schofield not too far behind Harry, 1.5 seconds, but Schofield is bringing along Sandbaum Kid having a decent race so far, up one position into 5th.
Yeah, and of course if results finished as they are, CRG Gamer 62 would take a 3-point lead going, or 2-point lead I think. I'm trying to think of my maths here off the top of my head going into the next round. But yeah, so 15 points for Gamer and it'd be 10 points for Harry. So it would not be a good enough swing for Harry going into the next round. He'd lose that lead in the championship that he's held since all the way back at the start of this season. So Harry just falling back now 3.1 seconds off the back of Cliffy, who's 1.3 off of Gamer. As the race is starting to open up a little bit, you can see Schofield are now starting to come under attack from Sandbaum Kid and Foxy as Paul Racetech picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's you can see Andre trying to go up the inside of Logshotter. Can he get the move done? There's contact between the two once again. Logshotter trying to hold on to position and getting his elbows out once again as the second Mercedes driver. We've seen this quite often from him, just tends to not really want to give up as they're going to go side by side as the next corner. This is not going to go well in this. There we go. That's a, unfortunately, well, it looks as though it's helping out the McLaren. They're still attached to each other as they go down towards the turn 6 and turn 7. However, now Andre is up ahead. So hopefully that was just a graphical error. If not, that was a wonderful bit of tyre conservation there from the McLaren.
It was, yeah, indeed. But I think, to be honest, surely Logshotter's elbows must start to be getting a bit painful, a bit sore right now, because he's getting his elbows out quite a lot of minutes, and at the moment now Andre and Logshotter are attacking Rimac here. Rimac's just lost out to Andre for 10th place. Rimac really not enjoying these conditions whatsoever, now into 11th place, but Logshotter will be trying his best to get that position off him. And Sambam Kid and Sam and Pito have both picked up 3-second time passes with Cliffy. Cliffy showing his worth in these conditions. Rimac's into the pits. Rimac into the pits with Andre another 3-second time penalty. And Logshotter really slow for the final corner, and Paul Racetech gets the position on him into 11th. But yes, as I was saying, Rimac into the pits for a nose change, so he must have picked up wing damage somewhere, Rimac, the Ferrari driver, down into last place now. So Rimac will be hoping to see out the rest of this race on those tyres, you'd imagine, and just see if he can pick up any points whatsoever. But going back to the front, Cliffy now starting to reel in that Mercedes once again. It's down to 0.8 of a second now. It was 1.2, wasn't it, a couple of laps ago? But with that fastest lap, and Cliffy now starting to put the hammer down, the Racing Point starting to really put pressure on Gamer once again, with Harry now a very distant 4.5 seconds back.
Yep. As Gamer takes a deeper line into turn 10 at the hairpin compared to Cliffy, who takes the conventional dry line. Gamer uses the exit to take a little bit more speed up the back straight, but you can see, looking already at Cliffy's onboard here, he's already used almost a full battery's worth of ERS there, so he's going to have to start he's going to have to go into restoration mode for a bit, because otherwise he's going to really start to struggle later on. This one locks up into the first corner, but he's making up a little bit of time on Gamer, but this gap is holding around about a second. But as you say, Harry now 4.5 seconds back from this battle at the front, so Harry in a little bit of a race of his own. He's currently just under 2 seconds ahead of Schofielder, but falling to almost 5 seconds behind the battle for the lead of this one, as Cliffy, as you say, is starting to put a little bit of pressure on Gamer. But however, I feel like Gamer's just controlling this one. We'll just check in with the race leader. He has got a decent 60% worth of ERS left over as he makes his way very tentatively through turn 8 and turn 9, and the Mercedes just holding off the charge from the Racing Point. However, the Racing Point possibly a little bit eager 7 laps into this 35 lap race using all that battery.
Yeah, you could possibly be right then. We have a nice mouth-watering battle here for 4th place. Sambam Kid still hanging on to the back of the Alfa Romeo of Schofield, but he's also bringing along Foxy Red and Sam Pitos now starting to reel in Foxy Red as well. They've just collided early on in the race. Sam now starting to come back at him, but remember, Sambam Kid and Sam Pito both already have 3 seconds worth of time penalties, and I think what's key with Schofield, I've noticed with Schofield a lot on a Thursday night in Realistic Performance League, he's absolutely superb at keeping it clean on the track and not picking up penalties. So he plays this sensible here and he tries to reel in Harry ahead with the guys behind on 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Schofield is still in a good position, but he doesn't want to allow Sam Bamgid to get too close to try anything sneaky on him. So Schofield playing a sensible game at the moment in 4th place, but there is some pressure from behind.
As we've currently got Samu Pito and Foxy Red. As Samu almost loses the car, and Carlos hold on to that one because that was almost a big crash there from the Renault. But you can see he's starting to close in on Foxy Red as Cliffy, man in 2nd position, picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's very tricky in these conditions to keep it on circuit. Very easy just to drift wide. But Sam and Foxy have got a bit of maybe a little bit of afters after coming together at Monaco. It cost Foxy a post-race penalty, cost him a podium finish, and Foxy was not happy, and equally Samu decided quite late on to put in a complaint against it and managed to get his own, or managed to get his review checked over, and it did unfortunately swap the positions back. So Foxy lost that penalty. Samu, I'm sure, felt a little bit vindicated as not only does Cliffy pick up a penalty, but CRG Gamer takes the fastest lap and extends that gap out to 1.4 seconds out the front. So you can see that that gap at the front is very much just fluctuating almost corner for corner at the moment.
It is, and I want to point out as well, this battle for 4th place is soon going to have another contender. Scott Bugner has been flying since he's got away from that battle for the minor points. Scott Bugner has been flying. He was about 3.5 seconds off of Sam, but now it's down to 1.3 seconds. So Scott Bugner is putting his hat in the circle, shall we say, and he'll be trying to vie for some of these positions here. So soon we're going to have potentially a 5-way. Oh, Scott nearly all out of shape there into a wall. I nearly put the big curse on him there, but Scott just loses out a couple of tenths there, but is just about in a fight here for 5th place. So you could have 4th place though, so you could have a 5-way battle for 4th. So at the moment Schofield has got a bit of a train behind him.
Yeah, and Scott doesn't like driving unless it's sideways, so this sort of weather works perfectly for him. So he's currently in 8th position. He will be well, relishing, I would imagine, his on-track rival for several years now, which has been Sam Pito, just up ahead of him. The two get on well off track. Often have a lot of chat between themselves in between races, and we'll see what they can do when they're on it in these tricky conditions, because we know neither one of them have often said that neither one of them will allow the other past without putting up a fight. So watch out for that one coming up very shortly. Foxy Red 2000 is just fallen back off the back of Sambam Kid, who's starting to put the pressure on Schofielder now, as they are once again still with this battle going on, with Schofield having to focus on maintaining that gap between himself and Sambam Kid, just holding firm between that gap between themselves, and Harry is now around 2 seconds. But Harry just losing time hand over fist at the moment, now 5.7, 5.8 seconds behind Cliffy. So even with that time penalty, Cliffy would be retaining 2nd position. We're on lap 10 of 35 here for the 7th round of the IRL F1 League, and we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3.
It was Logshotter, unfortunately, at the final corner. Logshotter, I think he had an issue near the Wall of Champions, but he's carried on, so no dramas there, no safety car.
And so everyone back underway, no reason for a VSC or of course a standard safety car, and we've still got this battle going on all the way down from 4th position to almost 8th if Scott can get himself involved in the fray. Of course no DRS in these wet conditions, which means that overtaking will be at a premium. Everyone, they'll have to be using battery power and overtake mode if they want to get that car past. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, guys. My name is Gareth Hall. You can find me on Twitter at GT2_driving, and you can find Sab at Alan Sabatino. And of course, we're bringing you the IRL F1 League here on the PS4's. Logshotter picks up 3 seconds there. And of course, if you're watching us for the first time, we welcome you to Invictus Racing League, where you can go to the website invictusracingleague.com, Invictus RL on Twitter, and Invictus Racing League on Facebook and on Instagram, as Andre picks up 3 seconds for some transgressions as well. And equally, if you're here on YouTube for the first time, make sure you give us a like, a subscribe if you're new and you're enjoying yourself, and equally drop into the comments. Let us know who you're rooting for. Always good to hear from you guys, and always like to see the comments just dropping down and finding out what everyone's doing on a Monday evening, whether you've enjoyed yourselves. We're now watching this battle for 5th, 6th and 7th position between Sam Bam Kid, Foxy Red 2000 and Sam Papito. Sam trying to close in on Foxy Red 2000, who is equally just fallen back off Sam Bam a little bit.
He has, yeah, and Sam Bam Kid now, he's really starting to put the pressure on the Alfa Romeo driver. This is the closest he's been for several laps now, and Schofield just a bit out of shape there into the hairpin, and Sam Bam Kid's got a real opportunity now here, 0.3 of a second in the slipstream, but like you say, no DRS or anything here, so he's got to do it all himself here, but Schofield will be playing this sensible here. Just take the corners nice and steady, no silly business here at all, and Schofield should be able to defend right, but Sam Bam Kid is really starting to put pressure on. As you can see, I'm right on board with Sam Bam Kid. You can just see Harry ahead, and Sam Bam Kid will be thinking, if I can get past Schofield here, there's an opportunity for maybe for a podium place. That final podium place is not out of the question for these guys behind Schofield, or even for Schofield yet, is there in a minute, because Harry just cannot get to grips with this race so far. So Schofield, if he can get any closer, that'd be great. But at the moment, the guy who looks the faster of the two appears to be Sam Bam Kid.
Yeah, and Ryan Mack picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's down in 13th position. This rain looks as though it's going to be sticking with us for the rest of this one, but it's not got any heavier, so no need to go over to extreme wets just yet. We'll see if that does happen later on in the session. It was interesting to see Samuel Pepito was pulling out of the slipstream and out of the spray behind Foxy Red 2000 down the main straight, so perhaps just looking at getting a little bit of a clearer run down towards turn 1, or equally maybe using the more standing water just to cool the tyres down a little bit after sliding around on what will be some worn intermediates. Now expect to see a one stop, and coming in on lap 17 to lap 20, and as we've got Cliffy just going purple on 120.385 there. He's now 6/10 of a second within Gamer now, so after saving battery for a few laps, it seems like the Racing Point is starting to put the pressure back on your race leader, who's currently led from the opening lap. Harry now almost 8 seconds behind Cliffy and Gamer, so really not able to stick with them in these wet conditions.
No, and that'll be a big sigh of relief, wouldn't it, for Cliffy, because if he can't get the first place done, he knows even with that 3-second time penalty, he's going to still be secure in second place. So as long as there's no dramas from him and he can really keep with Gamer, or even put the pressure on Gamer, he knows second place is a minimum he will score tonight. But just looking further down, Paul Racetech in 11th place is everything's settled down a bit. He's having a better race now, and he's starting to slowly put the pressure on Andre. It was just outside the second mark. It's just dropped to a second now. Paul Racetech, the other Renault driver, teammates with Sam Pito, he's getting one eye on Andre. Andre not having the best of races, unfortunately, down 5 places after a superb qualifying for him. He's not really enjoyed it whatsoever. So Paul Racetech just about within reach of points on his debut.
Yeah, and it's the Renault all out of shape there on exit. Just about managed to hold on to that one. That was scary, but you can see Paul Racetech was sure, well, maybe a little bit more sweaty than he was before he got to the hairpin, but yeah, he manages to hold on to the but drops back a little bit from Andre, and a bit of an audio glitch there because that engine sounded very ropey as it came through the final chicane there. But the Renault back underway. Of course, the yellow and black of the Renault, the black helmet looks very nice, but I'm sure Paul Racetech will be wanting to get back on the pace and back on to Andre. Last lap around, Sam Pepito picked up a 3-second time penalty, so that makes 6 seconds for Samu in 7th position. Not helpful at all, and that'll be dropping it behind not only Scott but TL44S, who's having a bit of a lonely race in 9th position at the moment. Cliffy has now gapped himself right up to the back of the leader once again, so back within not only slipstream but overtaking opportunity. But you can see once again down to under 10% of his battery left, so he's using all his battery to close in. Of course, he's sitting on a 3-second time penalty as well, which I'm sure that CRG Gamer 62's pit wall would have told him, so Gamer won't be fighting him too hard, however will be wanting to hold on to track position if possible. But Cliffy doing all he can at the moment to hold on to the back of Gamer, but using a lot of battery to do so. Gamer up ahead. He's looking very comfortable, isn't he? Your current second place man in the championship. He's still got over 60% battery in this Mercedes, and looking very smooth, very comfortable in these tricky conditions. Of course, Gamer, a very accomplished racer, as unfortunately we have had a lobby crash. And that is really unfortunate. So I've had a complete crash. I'm not sure if you had as well, Sab.
No, I'm still in.
I do apologise. I saw Foxy Red was kicked from the session. Unfortunately, I've just been kicked as well. So I will try and get myself back in as soon as possible. Unfortunately, nothing I could do that about. So please bear with me 2 seconds. I'll have to go blue screen, which will cut my microphone. But I'll be back with you as soon as possible. Now hopefully that's worked again and I should be back with you. Unfortunately, I do apologise, that's actually not happened to me before, well, at least not for a long time, but we are hopefully getting back into the race, and hopefully, Sab, you're still with us?
Yeah, I had some weird glitches on my screen as well, and there was all sorts of cars doing all sorts of weird business, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can get back underway. I honestly don't know what happened there. Yeah, I seen you got dropped as well, but fingers crossed we can carry on with this race now. As I just want to point out that Samu and Scott Bugner are both pitted. Let's hope it was them that's actually pitted and not the game, but I believe that it was them that's actually pitted. Personally, I don't have any timings on my screen or anything at the moment, so I'm just going on based on names at the moment, unfortunately. But CRG Gamer still is leading this race, with Cliffy still trying his best to do anything. But the problem is, in these conditions, normally you would try and rely on DRS, wouldn't you, to try and get yourself that much closer. But in these conditions, it's just all about race pace and racecraft here. But Cliffy not able to get anything done at the moment, and still stuck behind CRG Gamer. I couldn't tell you, sorry, what the time gap is, but it looks on screen to be about a second.
Yeah, and don't worry, I'm in exactly the same boat as you. No timing on this lap, and unfortunately I had the same before the crash. I had all the timings were frozen, so they weren't actually changing for me. But into the box does come Harry and Scopefielder, currently 3rd and 4th in the race, and we'll see it's going to be a race out of the pit box. Who manages to get out? It's going to be the Williams that just manages to hold on to position ahead of Scopefielder. That pit window is open. Lap 17 to 20, we're expecting to see people in. Will we see Harry get out ahead of the cars coming around the first corner? It's Samu Vito who's managed to close in with that time. Will he jump ahead of everyone else that he was fighting with? Because of course Foxy Red 2000 Sambam Kid are up the road as well, so Sam will be looking at getting the jump on those guys. Scott Bugner getting the power down. He's lost a little bit of time now, 2.5 seconds behind Sam Pizzo, so a bit of a gap formed behind him. But yeah, we do apologise for the lobby crash, but we're back underway here at the IRL F1 League. My name is Gareth, and bringing the action with Sab every Monday night. Of course, next week we have got a vastly different circuit to this. We head off to Belgium for a circuit that we do see much longer, possibly much more iconic, and will put these drivers to the test. You can see up ahead Harry with Scopefielder and Sam Pepito all over him. As into the box comes your race leaders Cliffy and Gamer, as they can go. Positions will be changed in the pit lane, but you can expect to see positions hold firm as they leave, with Gamer leading from Cliffy. As into the box comes Sambam Kid. Foxy Red staying out another lap, but however it looks as though he's going to fall. Is he going to fall just behind Cliffy? So luckily for Cliffy, he's going to appear just in front of the Alfa Romeo, as unfortunately we've lost Andre from the session as well, so I do fear that we may have another crash, so do bear with us if that is the case. And you can see the Alfa Romeo has decided to stick it out, and he's fallen behind Cliffy and trying to maybe do the overcut on everyone else.
I don't believe the overcut is working. If you look, Sambam Kid tried the overcut, didn't he? And he's now down behind Scott Bugner, behind Simon Pito, and he was putting the pressure on Scopefielder. Now he's in 8th place. So for me, the overcut is not working, and I firmly believe when when Foxy Red does come into the pits, you're going to find him dropping all the way down, even perhaps behind Sambam Kiddy. So this has not worked out for the Haas driver whatsoever for Sambam Kiddy. He was looking strong for 4th place here, and who knows, he still may get it. We've still got plenty of laps on board, but to the moment he's now got to try and get himself past the likes of Scott, Sam, and just to even get anywhere near Scopefield. So Foxy Red is just coming into the pits now, but the likes of Harry, Scopefield, Samu, Scott and Sambam Kid are all down that back straight now, so expect Foxy Red to drop quite a few positions here. I don't believe this gamble has worked for him.
No, it looks as though he is going to fall right to the back of this pack, so Foxy Red unfortunately dropping down once again, and unfortunately I've lost timing from my screen once again, so I will try and keep you on. Luckily we can see the battles that are going on, but you can see the monumental amount of time that Foxy Red has lost here just by pitting 2 laps later. He's going to come out almost, it's going to feel like 5 seconds down the road from anyone else. So that gamble to stay out on the used intermediates has not worked for the second Alfa Romeo. He was looking at fighting for a 4th position with his teammate, and at the moment both the cars that used the overcut, Sambam Kid and Foxy Red, have found it, as you say, have worked in the complete opposite way, and they've now found themselves at the back of that pack.
They have indeed, and this will be interesting now. The battle for 3rd place will be absolutely fascinating, because Schofield hasn't really been able to get close to Harry all race, but now it's about 9/10, 8/10 of a second to the Williams driver, so Schofield now can really start to put the pressure on Harry here for that 3rd place. Harry not been under really any pressure at all, has he, all evening? He's not been able to fight for 2nd, and he's not really had any pressure from behind, but now it's completely different. Can Schofield really start to put the pressure on that Williams driver, and this will be a real hammer blow, won't it, to Harry's championship challenge if he was to lose this position to Schofield. But you've not got too far behind. He's Simon Pito as well. He's 7/10 behind. So Harry here under some pressure now to keep hold of this 3rd place. He's got 15 laps to hold on. He did superb last week. 2 weeks ago.
Unfortunately, it sounds like we've lost Sab from the audio group there, so hopefully we'll try and get him back as soon as possible. I'll carry on as usual and try and bring you the rest of the action here. The IRL F1 League as a CRG gamer leads from Cliffy. Harry 11.5 seconds back from Cliffy. Not a great race from your championship leader. Scopefielder now within a second of Harry. Sam Pito with a 6-second time penalty coming his way come the checkered flag. It's starting to close in on Scope. Of course, Sam and Scope have raced each other for multiple seasons in the past. Been very friendly, but what will they do when it comes to battling each other on circuit here in Canada? As you can see, everyone trying to get involved in this one, and we're going to try and get Sab back in as soon as possible. Unfortunately, this game is not esports ready, we all know that, but we will try and persevere and keep going as long as we can. We're on lap 21 of 35 here at the IRL F1 League. It's the 7th round of the championship before we head off to Spa-Francorchamps next week, which of course you can catch on a Monday night here, 8 PM on YouTube every single week. It's not the only race we have here in Invictus. Of course, tomorrow night is the F2 League on the PS4 and on the Xbox, which you can find on YouTube and on twitch.tv for the Xbox. So choose your platform. On Wednesday we have a multi-platform evening as well with the PS4 F3 and F4 League, and of course the PC League, which will be streaming all on YouTube. And then on Thursday we have the Realistic Performance League, our oldest and probably most casual of leagues. It's a lot of fun, there's a lot of action, reverse grids, full qualifying, points on offer for all positions, and all sorts of different rules that we see in Equal Performance. That's on a Thursday, and of course on Sunday it's going to be the Xbox F1 League that kick off our week's racing. They will be the first ones up in Belgium, as Scopefield are really starting to hassle the back of Harry now, with Sam Pizzo struggling to keep this Renault in a straight line, and hoping that Sab is able to rejoin us as soon as possible.
Can you hear me now?
I can. You're back. You're back from the shadow realm.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what happened there. The whole game seemingly crashed for me, but then also cut my mic out. I don't have a clue what happened there, but I am back with you. I was just, I can't remember what I was talking about now, but I think I was talking about Schofield there, and yes, looking at the battle for third place now, and look at Harry now, look at the train Harry has got behind him now with, 13 laps left of this race to go. Can Harry hold on to this third place? This is going to be one hell of an effort if he can, because his championship is on the line, isn't it, tonight? Because if he loses 2-3 places here, Gamer's going to be rubbing his hands at it.
Yeah, he will, and it will be a championship lead going into round 8 for the first, round 7. 8, sorry, I'm getting my rounds wrong. For CRG Gamer 62, first time this season he would have led the championship. You can see Scopefielder, Sam Pepito still trying to hassle the back of Harry, who will be willing the flag to come out with every single lap. He will want this race to be over. He's not enjoying it at all. You can see the top 2 have absolutely disappeared off into a different stratosphere as Gamer picks up a 3-second time penalty. So that negates his penalty that he had to Cliffy. So it's now a 3-second time penalty for both your race leaders, with CRG Gamer and Cliffy both on 3 seconds. Harry has kept it clean so far. He's currently on 0, however, almost 15 seconds back. So it looks as though it's going to be a battle to the finish between CRG Gamer and Cliffy. Mercedes versus a Racing Point. Who can win this one?
It's a tough one, isn't it? At the minute, Cliffy, he's always been within that second for the last 10 laps or so. He just can't get the move on. Gamer, I think this is a real strength of Gamer. I think you'll agree with me. Gamer, he could be sat right at us. We just see Sam as well. Sam Vito picking up another 3-second time pad. That's going to really hurt him in terms of points at the end of this race. But going back to Gamer, I think this is one of his real strengths, is being able to lead at the front and keep a lead even when he's under pressure from behind. Gamer knows how to defend the lead, and even in these tricky conditions, I don't think he's going to be panicking or worrying so much. He knows where he can make time upon Cliffy, or knows how to keep that racing point, not getting too close. And I think even in this stage, with Cliffy looking probably the faster of the two, I'd say Gamer is probably looking the more comfortable. I say, as we see a yellow flag in sector 3, I believe that's for Rimac pitting, retiring in the pit lane. But yeah, Cliffy, I think Cliffy needs to try something a bit different, but he doesn't want to do anything too silly, does he, in these conditions? But as you can just see up ahead, I don't know about you, but is that clearer skies coming? It looks certainly a lot brighter. Could we possibly have dry weather towards the end of this race?
It's very, very wet still out on circuit. The rain is still coming down. However, I do see blue skies breaking through the clouds, so you may be right that we may see it dry up, or at least the rain start to abate later on in this one. And Scott Bugner, who picked up a 3-second time penalty just last lap, fell into that unfortunate karting trapper following the kart line in front of you, and followed Simon Pizzo, who went wide and took a 3-second time penalty. And Scott did exactly the same, picked up a 3-second time penalty. So Scott and Sam sharing a slap across the wrist from the race stewards as they still try and close in on Harry, who is really backing the pack up here. So unless this is a play to try and get Scott involved, who is trying to keep that Williams going in a straight line, but it's not wanting to do it whatsoever. The back end all skewiff, but as Paul Racetech picks up 3 seconds, he's down in 10th position. He'll be looking at picking up points on his first, or I say that, as he drops behind Burmeister. Is that a spin or a contact there for Paul? It looks as though there might be front wing damage on that. There is extensive front wing damage on that Renault, who's lost it somewhere, so that's promoted Burmeister up into the points at the moment in 10th position. Cliffy now within 0.6 of a second of Gamer for the lead of this one. Of course, both sitting on a 3-second time penalty, but with plenty of laps left to go, 10 laps left to go in this race. All positions can currently change. Gamer, of course, has a huge advantage back to Harry as well, so he doesn't need to worry about his championship rival overtaking him in the race in this one unless he makes a monumental mistake. However, it's Harry at the moment is going to be under threat and under pressure, because currently he's got Schofielder, Sam, Scott and Sambam all within striking distance of him, and they will all be vying for that final spot on this podium here in a very wet and tricky Canadian Grand Prix, round 7 of the IRL F1 League.
One thing Harry's doing well at the minute, he's not doing anything silly. He's not trying anything too daring. He's making sure he just keeps that car within the track limits. He doesn't want to be picking up time penalties now, does he? Because he could see himself losing 2-3 places with how close the cars are behind him, so he's got to play sensibly, and at the moment he's playing it very sensible, Harry, to keep his Schofield at arm's length. Schofield not really able to do anything, so same with Sam behind, and even Scott Buckner as well. Scott Buckner pulling out of the racing line there from Sam just to get, Scott's just picked up another 3-second time penalty there, unfortunately, and you'd imagine if he was going to put any pressure on 3rd or 4th place now, those hopes, you imagine, are over for Scott now. The only thing I can say is I think Sam's got ahead of him 9 seconds worth of penalty, so if it stays as it is, Scott will jump Sam, but the cars behind might find themselves jumping those two together, so unfortunately for Scott there, he's picked up another set of time penalties. But yeah, as I was saying, Harry playing it sensible at the moment, keeping it within those white lines, and that's all he needs to do now, doesn't he, with 9 laps to go. But Schofield will be sitting there waiting for any mistake if possible.
Yeah, that's exactly what Scope will be doing. You can imagine with this pack that's been built up, is we've got a yellow flag in Sector 3, possibly for one of the drivers outside of the top 10. We've saw that Logshotter picked up a penalty earlier on as well, and TL44S picked one last time around as well. As we can see, it's all starting to get very tasty indeed in this battle for the podium. We've got Sandman Kid getting a run on Scott Buckner in 6th and 7th position down the back straight. Overtake is enabled for the Haas as he's going to use it, but you can see Scott's equally using it on San Pepito. Is it going to be a change for position for 6th? Looks as though they're all holding firm. They're all using overtake in exactly the same position up ahead. Scott's now got to the inside of San Pepito, so go down along across the line, and they enter lap 27 side by side. This is the first time we're going to see Sam and Scott attack each other on circuit, and Scott gets past the Renault. The Renault not able to close the door, and Sam unable to go up the inside into turn 2. So Scott and Sam, a clean overtake. That's something we don't see too often.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that was very calm, wasn't it, for those two? Normally it's fireworks and it's New Year's Eve and everything combined, isn't it, between the two? But it was a nice move from Scott. Next up, can he get up to Schofield? And I think this would do Harry the world of good now, wouldn't it, if Scott can get up to the back of Schofield and just put some pressure on the Alfa Romeo driver and make Schofield start to look behind him rather than ahead of him. So Harry will be fingers crossed here, hoping that his teammate can just do something about this Alfa Romeo, and he's not too far behind now, and he's got ahead of Sam Pito, but Sam Pito is not too far behind either, with Sam Bam Kid as well. But this battle, what a battle we've got, for the 3rd place with what, 7 laps left of this race. I have not a clue which way it's going to go. I've just seen Cliffy's got it back down to 7/10. It was 1.2 seconds, so Cliffy just can't get close enough, can he?
No, it looks as though Gamer is very much just playing, just holding him at arm's length in this one. And whenever Cliffy uses that battery, is Samu's going to have a look to the inside of Scott. Doesn't quite get close enough, but yeah, it looks as though Gamer is just holding the Racing Point at arm's length in this one. Whenever Cliffy deploys that battery, Gamer just deploys it back and holds on to it. You can see Cliffy using lots of battery in short periods, whereas Gamer is being very frugal with his indeed, and not allowing it to be expended too early. As Sam loses the back end of that Renault. That's the second Renault that we've seen struggle in these faster corners in these wet conditions. So both Renaults obviously set up a little bit quicker, a little bit less downforce compared to everyone else, and that's the reason why they're getting all out of shape through the faster corners. But Cliffy now down to within half a second. This is the closest he's been for a number of laps. They've gapped 20 seconds to Harry. Harry, who's firmly got his eyes set on Schofield behind and not what's happening in front. As Sam Bam Kid tries to look to the inside of Sam Pito and just gives him a little love tap just to say I'm coming past, but Sam's going to try and close the door and run Sam back out wide and very much shuts it in his face and says try that one again. So Sam's going to go to the outside down the back straight. Well, 2 cannot go into 1. Who's going to have the inside line for the chicane? Sam's going to try and hold on to it. As well, I say Sam, they're both Sam, as Samu Pepito loses the car on the exit. They tried to go side by side. Sam picks up a 3-second time penalty. It looks as though Sam Bam Kid had the corner. He was ahead going into the final corner. Sam Papito just desperately trying to hold on to it, not able to do so. Up ahead you can see Scott Bugner, as you were saying, Sab, now right on the back of Scopefielder, so not what Scope wants at all. He doesn't want Harry's teammate here helping him out.
No, he doesn't, and Harry will be really pleased to see his teammate not far behind, as we've got a yellow flag in sector 1 and 2. I don't believe I can see what is that for. It's quickly gone away, so I'm not entirely sure what that is for. But yeah, Scott Bugner now really starting to put the pressure on Schofield, but at the moment the kind of it's just all a bit negative. Oh, Scott nearly lost the car. It's all a bit to and fro. It's a bit negative into this. No one's able to get anything done because of these tricky conditions. No one's willing to, as Andre. Unfortunately, Andre, after a great qualifying, is out of this race. He's retired from the race for Andre, so that's unfortunate there. But yeah, these wet conditions are just making people be that bit more hesitant. Scott once again pulling out and not able to do anything about it. But at the moment, I think these wet conditions are doing Harry the world good, aren't they? As we've got a yellow flag in sector 1, but I assume that's for the what is happening there? I don't know if you're getting weird glitches there. Sorry, Gareth. I've just had Scott and Sam Bam Kid literally in one car.
Yeah, well, I've just had Sam Bam Kid getting it down the inside of Scott into turn 1, so not quite sure. There was a Renault, a McLaren that we just phased through. Unfortunately, of Andre. Sam Papito retiring from the race, coming in. He dropped to the back of the pack. It looks as though that perhaps he decided that it wasn't going to be his race. He couldn't get to the front of it, and unfortunately for Sam, that's another retirement on the season for him. So not what he wanted at all. That's his third non-score, or fifth non-score of the season. His only other two that he's managed to score have been podiums, 2 third-place finishes back at Abu Dhabi and at Monaco. So unfortunately for Sam, that ends his involvement in this 7th round of the IRL F1 season. Scott now behind Sam Bam once again. So Sam, after that undercut for everyone else, dropped to the back of the field. The overcut didn't work. He's now trying to make his way back through on everyone else. He's now got Scopefielder within his sight, so Sam Bam Kid trying to get up into 4th position. The gap on that 31 of 35 for the race lead is now 0.5 of a second, and it's remaining to hold steady around that, with CRG Gamer just holding off the fight from Cliffy. But you're going to think Cliffy's going to be desperately trying to get within overtaking range in the next few laps or so. Laps are definitely starting to fall away from this one. Of course, it is the 7th round of the season. Just 5 more to go after this. Belgium, Hungary, Azerbaijan, Russia, and the dreaded Vietnam at round 12. And plenty more racing, but everyone needing the points, and Harry desperately needing to do a little bit of damage limitation here, Sab. 3rd position, but 23 seconds off his championship rival.
Yeah, it's not good, is it, really, for Harry? These conditions have not suited him whatsoever, and if he can hold on to 3rd, then I'd say that's as good as it can be for him. But with Sam Bam Kid coming in later on those tyres, it looks like now those tyres are starting to come good for him now, because he's really putting the pressure on Scopefield, and now, 0.2 of a second behind the Alfa Romeo driver, and he's got a good toe here. Can he do anything towards the wall of champions? I don't believe he's going to be able to. I think it's just too far back. But if he can get a good run out of this final corner, run down to the first corner, Sam Bam Kid might be able to do what's similar to what he did to Scott Bugner earlier on. But unfortunately, Sam Bam Kid just not quite close enough. But those intermediate tyres are looking a bit better for him compared to the cars ahead of him. As
Cliffy got the gap down to 0.2 of a second, entering this 32nd lap of the race. Not long left to go in this one. And Cliffy looking to close the gap once again. He's getting within striking distance of the Mercedes up ahead. And Cliffy, who's been pushing ever so hard in this one, of course qualified in 3rd position, didn't quite manage to set a final lap due to invalidation. He's going to want to finish well in the final stages of this one. 32 of 35. They're coming on to the 33rd lap here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. and Cliffy is still within half a second of Gamer. Gamer not able to shift and get rid of Cliffy at all, and Cliffy gets a better exit out of the final corner there, pulls off of the racing line, the drying line, as they go around the lapped car there of Logshotter, who's down in 11th position. And Logshotter in the eye line here of the second place man, and he should drop off the back here and let him through. But you can see it's still a bit of a gap now. It's extended out 0.2 of a second, extended on that last lap as they navigated their way through the lap traffic. CRG Gamer from Cliffy, Harry 24 seconds back, still holding off Scopefielder, who's desperately holding off Sam Bam Kid. Scott Buckner picked up another 3-second time penalty on that last lap as well, so that might confirm Scott out of the fight for not only, well, definitely not for 3rd and 4th, but definitely maybe even for 5th. It might even come under threat from Foxy Red, who's having a lonely race in 7th position at the moment, 5 seconds back off Scott and 20 seconds away from TL44S. So it's a race, unfortunately only 14. We do expect to see more. We have got a pretty full lobby here in IRL F1. Of course, a couple of spots left over, so if you'd like to get involved, go to the website, invictusracingleague.com, and equally all the social media channels. Sam Bam Kid picks up 3 seconds.
That, I believe, is his second 3-second time penalty, which, oh wow, as Cliffy, has that just sealed the fate on the race winner tonight, because Cliffy has picked up another 3-second time penalty. So now all CRG Gamer really has to do now is just play it sensible, keep it on the track nice and clean, and this race victory will be his. Unfortunately, Cliffy probably, I didn't see where he picked up the penalty, but I assume it's just he's trying to push as hard as possible to get the move done, and unfortunately pushed a bit too hard. As you talk about Scott Buckner falling away, and unfortunately it's just getting worse and worse for him as he picks up another 3-second time penalty, I assume on the final corner. But yeah, Sam Bam Kid trying to put the pressure on Scopefielder, but Sam Bam Kid now with those 6 seconds worth of time penalties, his opportunities of stealing 4th place or even a 3rd place look to all be over.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the likes of Scott, he's now falling into disqualification territory. Of course, here in Invictus, 15 seconds of time penalties invokes an automatic disqualification. So Scott in danger of losing those points that he's going to be accruing, and it would be only his 2nd points finish of the season, pardon me. And yeah, unfortunately for him, he's going to need to keep it on the black stuff between the 2 white lines, as behind Sam Bam Kid now getting a really good run on Scopefielder as the leaders come on to the final lap of the race. Here comes Sam Bam Kid down the inside, just misses the back end of Harry's car, but manages to get the position on Scopefielder. So Sam Bam Kid on the penultimate lap gets up into 4th position, and will have a 1-lap shootout to get past Harry as TL44S picks up a time penalty. As late in this one, penalties will start to stack up now, of everyone trying to tiptoe their way around this Gilles Villeneuve circuit. And Sam Bam Kid now a really, really good run on Harry. So Harry under real threat now from losing. He goes defensive very, very early indeed. And Sam is very much eyeing up a first return to the podium here at Invictus in a long time. It's back at season 6 that we saw him on the podium here in Invictus, and he's got just once again, will he do what he did back in China, just miss the podium by 1 position, and he's got just a few more corners after this one to get past Harry. Up ahead you can see Cliffy and Gamer are going to go right down to the wire, but with Cliffy's 6-second penalty, Gamer's 3-second time penalty, it looks as though it's going to be curtains for this one, and it's going to be a 3rd win on the season for CRG Gamer, 62, and he will be looking at picking up another brilliant result here in the F1 League in his hunt to reel in and pass Harry for the championship lead. Comes up to the line, takes his 3rd win on the season, celebrating in style is the Mercedes, ahead of Cliffy, who is equally, I'm sure, delighted to be in 2nd position. Behind, this is going to go right down to the wire. Can Harry hold on to the position? You can see as Logshotter comes across the line and lap down. Sam Bam Kid, he's used the majority of his battery, so Harry's just got to make his way down the final 2 corners at the final chicane for the last time. Does he hold on to a podium? He's got to make it through without picking up any penalties. It looks as though Sam Bam Kid with the penalties will fall behind, but Harry does hold on for 3rd position. Sam Bam Kid does get dropped by Scopefielder into 4th. Scott Buckner is going to lose positions, I imagine, to Foxy Red. He does. Scott falling behind Foxy Red. TL44S will be in 8th position. Another one of those drivers is just having a casual Monday night drive on his own at the moment, just miles away from anyone else, but picks up some good points. 3 points for him back in 8th position. Burmeister will be finishing in the points. That's something that we don't often see from the Dutchman. He will be picking up 2 points for 9th position, and almost doubles his tally on the season, so congratulations goes out to Burr. And Paul Racetech, who unfortunately after getting caught up in contact earlier on in this one is down in 10th position, but picks up a point on his debut race here in the IRL F1 League and finishes off an eventful evening here in the IRL F1 League.
It certainly has. I don't know who found it more difficult, us two commentating with those glitches or the guys on the track with the wet weather. But yes, it was a great race. Huge congratulations to CRG Gamer 62. Superb defending from Cliffy throughout the whole race. Cliffy arguably the faster of the two, but Gamer just knew exactly what to do to keep him behind. And I think Harry can count himself very lucky because he was clearly not probably the third quickest guy out there tonight, but because of the wet conditions, no DRS, he was able to defend luckily. And if there was DRS, I think Harry would have found himself under even more pressure. So to come home with third, I think he'll be breathing a huge sigh of relief, because that could have been a lot worse for him.
Yeah, it could have been, but it's a third win on the season for your reigning champion, CRG Gamer 62. Cliffy, another brilliant result for the Racing Point driver, and picks up his third podium on the season. In second place. Harry, championship leader, coming into this one, second place, leaving this one. He picks up third. The first time he's picked up third in quite a while, actually. We usually either see him on the first or second steps of the podium. Scopefielder moves up to fourth, ahead of Stanbam Kid, who dropped back on penalties. Foxy Red jumps Scott Bugner into 6th position. So he's got Scott in 7th, then Till for first. Burmeister and Paul Racetech rounding out the top 10, with Logshotter lap down, and unfortunately we lost Samu, Andre and Rymac earlier on in this one, as you can see a lot of 12-second time penalties there for a number of drivers. So people in danger of losing their points, however, have just managed to hold on to them. But of course, this is not the only race we've got here in Invictus this week. Tomorrow night we've got on the YouTube channel, we've got the Invictus Racing League PS4 F2 League, and on twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League we have got the Xbox F2 League. Wednesday is the F3 and F4 League on the PS4, and the PC League on the F1 on Steam, and they will be all on YouTube, streamed at 8 PM. And of course on Thursday, Realistic Performance, and they will be back for a full qualifying session before their 2-race stint using the allocations that were given out today, and they will be heading to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve on Thursday. And then of course on Sunday, kicking us off for the race week, we have got the Xbox F1 League, and I believe we have been joined by all 3 of our podium finishers here from the Canadian Grand Prix. And I just double check, guys, just make sure you've all got your voices to allow to be shared so everyone can hear your chatter. And we'd just like to start with a big congratulations to all of you, but of course mostly to Gamer. And well, Sam, you've got to be pretty happy with that one. You had to hold off Cliffy. He was not letting you go of that one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really, obviously happy. I think Cliffy was probably slightly quicker than me in the rain, if anything. But I have a feeling he was a bit more downforce because he couldn't really get close on the straights. But yeah, I was just trying to keep it consistent, not get any penalties. I noticed the areas Cliffy got close was out of the last chicane. He always seemed to gain like 2-3 tenths. He must, I don't know, just got a better run through there every time. I did try it once, but the game was like, nope, you're having a penalty, so I didn't do that again. Yeah, apart from that, I mean, the tyres were really close. I don't know about everyone else, but I was in the 70s on both sets, so that was definitely close. But yeah, happy with it overall. Drove a good race and happy to take the win.
Yeah, and it looked relatively controlled, as you say. The gap between yourself and Cliffy held at around about half a second for quite a while. A slightly shaky start. You got a really good launch off the line, but it seems as though it took a while to get the tyres up to temperature because Cliffy was right on your tail from the get-go. So, what was it like in the early stages of that one when obviously no water had been shifted from the circuit?
Yeah, I didn't know, to be honest. I thought I was just really slow, but after the first lap or two, I sort of got in a rhythm. I think the tyres were actually cold, because on the formation lap, I was weaving it absolutely everywhere, and I still couldn't get them to temperature. So I think the tyres might have been slightly cold on the first lap, but so yeah, that was close, but thankfully held on. Yeah, definitely the tyres I think were very cold.
Well, congratulations. Third win on the season for you, and you take a 1 point lead in the championship going into Belgium next time out. And Spa, one of the most iconic circuits on the F1 calendar, a long lap as well. You're looking forward to that one?
Yeah, we did that as a pre-season race, I'm pretty sure. I think I went okay there, so yeah, it went definitely good last season from what I remember, so yeah, definitely looking forward to that one.
Well, congratulations on to Cliffy, and just that extra penalty in the last stage of that one, just pushing a little bit too hard to close in on Gamer.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the gap stayed between half a second and a second, so I don't actually think I was quicker than him. I feel like we were both at times in the lap quicker than each other, so we had the pace in the straights. I had the pace in the corners, but yeah, I mean, I'll come away with second place. I'm happy with how I drove. There's nothing really more I could have done. As Gamer said, he just had it on the straights, and I couldn't get near him.
And yeah, I mean, it was a brilliant race from you to launch off the line, get past Harry into second. Looks as though you were kind of using a lot of battery to close in on Gamer, but then equally coming back and challenging. Did you think about something, maybe doing the undercut and getting that one lap extra fresh tyre on Gamer?
I was going to pit lap 16, but I didn't know whether the second set of inters would go the length. But I think about it, I should have pit anyway. But yeah, as for the launch, for once, I actually got a good start. My starts normally are quite shaky, so the fact I got past Harry off the start was a bit shocking, and I almost got Gamer. So again, I was quite shocked at my pace, but yeah, overall just happy with the second place.
And yeah, as you say, happy with second place. That's after two non-finishes back at Monaco and United Arab Emirates. So, what's an overall goal for you for the end of the season? Is it trying to reel in perhaps being involved in a championship battle, or holding on to third place in this one?
I think Game and Harrow are just too far up the road. They're both very consistent, so they're both, first, second, third, or in the top five. Whereas I'm I'm in the top three. I retired 2 races now. I finished second, so. I think my main aim is in the Performance League, where I am fighting for the championship. So, I mean, obviously, where it's the same tracks, it sort of does coincide. So I will probably have to pace the next couple rounds, but whether I'll be able to challenge Gamer or Harry, I'll just have to find out.
Well, congratulations, second place for you tonight, and another podium on the season. And yeah, we wish you good luck for Thursday evening. And finally, on to Harry. Disaster report there, Harry. What happened there? You were miles off the pace, it seemed, tonight.
Cheers, Gareth. No, yeah, I mean, Canada and the rain is not a good mix at all for me. I think if it was dry, I think I could have maybe done something, but the rain doesn't seem to matter what track. I'm just terrible. I wasn't too well. I say I wasn't too bad in the first stint. I was still not far off a second lap behind these guys. And then the second stint, I don't know. I was just playing defensive really. I was on 2 warnings quite early on, so I just went full defense mode really.
And as you say, that second stint, you having to fight off Scopefielder, Sam, Bam in the final stages of that one. So, how much of a distraction is that for you when you're having to pay attention to what's going on behind you in conditions that are pretty difficult?
Well, not too much. I think if you concentrate on what's going behind you too much, I think you will get overtaken. It's pretty hard to overtake in a way, and that's what I kept telling myself. Sort of similar to Monaco in a way, I kept telling myself, if I don't make a mistake, people won't come past me. Obviously, Gamer did a couple of weeks ago, but no, I just knew as long as it's quite easy to save battery as well. So as long as I got a good traction out a lot of these corners, which I wasn't too bad at, and I was managed to stay just about away. But yeah, I'm glad Sam Bam thankfully only got past Scope with a couple of laps to go, because I think he definitely had the pace to really, really threaten me. But yeah, quite a lot of penalties. So yeah, I was just trying to make sure I didn't get a penalty really.
Finally, with I think you go into round 8 with a 1-point deficit now in the championship. First time you would have dropped the lead in the championship this season. Belgium up next, and then a couple of tracks that don't see tons of overtaking: Hungary, Azerbaijan, Russia, Vietnam. So, what's going to be the goal for you? Obviously, you're going to have to start qualifying well.
I don't know. I thought I was still ahead of the championship. I don't know. I'll wait till when the tables get on. I think I don't know. Game was getting quite a few points tonight, but Spa. I think again. I know Game did really well at last season, so that'd be hard. I think I probably have to try and again sort of damage limitation there, and I'll just try again. I think Hungary, Russia, and Baku maybe. Try and claw some points back.
Yeah, well, you've just corrected me. I've got my maths wrong on that one. I was completely ignoring the fact that you pointed to... Yeah, I know. Well, we all make mistakes, don't we, Mr. Banks? So,
No, can't relate.
But yeah, congratulations, all three of you tonight. Yeah, really tricky race. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a lobby crash in the middle of it, so we did miss around about half a lap, but we got it back and we got it under control. But yeah, you can all shoot off, lads. Thanks very much for joining us. Great race from you all tonight, as usual. Sab, rounding up a tricky race for all, whether it be us, whether it be them.
Yeah, indeed. It was a good start, I'd say, for Cliffy. I was riding on board with Cliffy. It was good to see him get back into the points, get his rhythm back. We spoke a lot about him, didn't we, at the beginning of the evening, and how he needed to get back to some sort of form, and picking up that second place, he'll be certainly happy with that. But CRG Gamer, he's not going to give up his championship fight, is he? He's going to really put the pressure on Harry, and Harry coming home in third place, I think, is the best he could have probably done tonight. I think thankfully for him there was no dry conditions, and he was able to defend in these wet conditions quite easily in the end. The likes of Schofield and Sandbam Kid just can't quite get close enough. So third place for Harry tonight, I think. It's not bad. He's still within the fight within Gamer, and I think going into Belgium next week, if he can get closer than what he has been in the race tonight, I think we're going to have a superb championship battle throughout the rest of the season. But overall, I think, it's just I just sum it as one tricky night, isn't it? It's wet conditions, tricky lobbies. I think it's one of those. I think we'll all be glad to see the back of.
Yeah, very much so. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining us this week, guys. Of course, make sure you give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new, where we upload almost every single day of the week, whether it be full races, whether it be highlights. And of course, go to the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter, Invictus Racing League on Instagram and on Facebook. And of course, the website, invictusracingleague.com, where you can get yourself on the grid for Season 12, which will be coming up and being announced in the coming weeks and months. And yeah, thank you very much for joining us here on a Monday night. My name's been Gareth. I've been joined by Sab, bringing you the IRL F1 League. We'll be back next Monday for the Belgian Grand Prix over at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And well, join us tomorrow night if you'd like to watch more F1 action here from Canada with the F2 League, both on the PS4 and on the Xbox on either YouTube or Twitch.tv. And of course, you can find me on @GT2_driving on Twitter and @Alan Sabatino for Sab. But for this week, have a great week. We'll see you very, very shortly. And yeah, enjoy. Have a great week.